This is Poly Bridge 3. This is one of the few games that I actually watch other people play a lot on YouTube. I should specifically shout out RealCivilEngineer and AliensRock, because watching them play this game is just they're massively good at it, and it's just inspiring to watch the solutions that they come up with, and they're just mastery of the genre of artificial video game bridge building. I'm not going to be as good as them, so if you want to watch someone be amazing at this game, go find their channels. If you just want to see a game developer bum around in Poly Bridge 3, then you're in the right place. I imagine Poly Bridge 3, I assume it's about bridges that are non-monogamous. So we'll have to just imagine what their lives are like. So so I've completed the two introductory levels, and so now we got to move on to some real levels, and I'm going to go generic. So each of these areas is sort of kind of categorized or characterized by, pre-builds, hydraulics, jumps. The whole idea being, like, if you like certain kinds of bridge challenges, like jumps where the vehicles that are crossing the bridge actually have to cross a gap without a bridge in it. Some people, they're really into, no, I want to build the actual bridge. Other people are like, I love jumps. And so they kind of, categorize them out so you can sort of go after the challenge you're interested in. Hydraulics, bridges that move. Pre-builds, where they build part of the bridge and you have to deal with that as you're building the rest of the bridge. But for this episode, just getting to know the game, let's just go with generic. So this first one is called Make Ends Meet. And basically, sort of what each of these challenges is you're trying to build a bridge that certain vehicles can cross in a certain pattern. And so the vehicles have weight, they've got speed, and it really matters to the physics of the bridge what you're being asked to do. You're given a budget, and you're given specific materials that you can use. And so there's a variety of different materials that sort of have different attributes and stuff. Right now, because I'm early in the game, they're keeping it pretty simple. But the budget is important, because everything that you use to build the bridge can make it stronger, but also makes it more expensive. And what a lot of the pros out there do is they'll put artificial budget limits on themselves. Like AliensRock always tries to do things at less than half budget. So I don't think I'll be that good at it, but we'll give it a try. And at the end, they compare you. They get this like histogram where they compare you to all the other players in the world, and you get to see how your bridge stacks up to everyone else's, which is a thing I really like. I mean, that's what I love in Zack-like games, and this game is kind of at least Zack-like adjacent. I should welcome my chat, by the way. There's a bunch of folks in here who I really like, including Ranithcord and Cogs and Peroxicus and Orthaus and Mama Tinker and Fallstar. And if I left your name off, it's because I secretly don't like you. So, okay, here is my challenge here. So I've got a snowman driving a little old-fashioned car because whatever. I've got an anchor point here, an anchor point here, and an anchor point here. Anchor points are basically just rooted in place. Physics does not affect them. They don't move. They are what you sort of can root your bridge in. And so what I've got is a bunch of wood and $17,000. So I guess one of the most straightforward things to do is just to build a roadway all the way across. Bump, 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 bump. All right. So now we've got a roadway, so we can just cross it, right? Nope. So that roadway is not very strong, so it naturally just breaks. They always highlight for you the first part of the bridge that broke, because oftentimes that's the weak point that you need to shore up. But this bridge needs a lot more than that. So let's go with some kind of arch. Like, for instance, this. So I'm tracing a little line here that I can then follow. Now you can autofill this line, but because the vertices don't really line up here, I'm going to do it manually. So I'm going to build up to that point, and then I'm going to build it out like this. And so when you're building a bridge, a lot of what you're trying to do is make sure that the force of the weight pressing down on the bridge is distributed in a way that funnels it into these points here that are fixed, funnels it into those points, and doesn't do it in such a way where parts of the bridge will flex or snap. And so one of the reasons why arches are powerful is because it sort of slowly gradually redirects the force in a new direction down into the ground. And triangles are really powerful because they can sort of make these rigid structures where the force is distributed in a way that isn't going to snap any of the pieces. And so this is roughly an arch. So let me copy this flip it, and then put it over here. And so this upper section and this upper section are probably fairly stable. We've got to figure out this right here is going to collapse. In fact, let me just show you what will happen here. Yeah, the middle. This time it collapses from the middle because I don't have enough going on over here. So let's grab some wood. And, oh, unfortunately... Okay, what I want to do is reach up here, but wood has got a limited length. You can have longer steel beams, but wood has to be short. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to grab these points. Oh, wait, sorry. The UX here is kind of confusing. You have to press and hold, and then it gives you the ability to shift the point. So I'm going to raise both of these a little bit higher so that now... Oh, it still doesn't quite reach. Okay, a little bit higher. Both of these points, just a little bit higher. And now I can attach them here. Now this shape here is what people call a muscle. It's a diamond with a single bar across it. This bar is narrower than the longer dimension. What this does is when you put weight down on the top of this, it tries to bow it out, and then most of the tension there is sort of on this little bar in the middle. It basically, rather than trying to crush down on a piece of wood, especially on a piece of wood at a diagonal where you could snap it in half, most of the force is going into trying to pull apart that middle thing of wood. And so because it's much harder to pull apart a piece of wood than to snap a piece of wood, this can be a lot stronger than a lot of other shapes. So I'm just going to do something like this. I don't know if this is going to work. This might not. For one thing to look out for is X shapes like this. This is a pivot point where the bridge could actually wobble. And if you let the bridge wobble, that can put a bunch of undue, unexpected force in a lot of different parts of the bridge. Let's see if this works. All right, this worked. So let's see how I stacked up against everybody else. Okay, so I'm in the top 42%. Not particularly impressive. So let's see if there are ways that I can shave this down. So one thing you could you can do to sort of evaluate your own bridge is look at it from the side with force turned on. And as you can see, most of the force, things turn orange as force is applied to them. So most of the force is going into the arch. So that means a lot of these little pieces here, a lot of these, like this arch, it didn't go all the way red, it went orange, and there wasn't a lot of strain being put on these these triangles. So I'm figuring I can probably basically use less wood. You can look at the cost, at the budget at the top, and as I move bits of this down, or move them in this case, like that, you can see that it's costing me a little bit less money each thing that I move. So I can also maybe make the muscle a little narrower. And I'm only shaving off small amounts of money, but let's delete this part and then copy and paste this to make sure it's symmetrical, because symmetrical bridges are cool. So now you can see there's already more force on this. Oh yeah, so that didn't work. Okay, so this did not work. And you can kind of see why, right? Because I'm putting a lot of lateral pressure on this thing, and it's just breaking apart. So I'm going to pull it out again. And let's see if that fixes it. Yeah, you can see things going a little bit red, but we're okay. So now I'm in the top 29%, from 42 to 29 with a little bit of shaving. So people who, again, are really, really good at this, they can shave this stuff all day. And some of them are also just really aware of a lot of other bridge building techniques. Like one of the reasons why RealCivilEngineer, I'm just going to test this out real quick without doing both sides. One of the reasons why RealCivilEngineer is fun to watch is because he actually is a civil engineer. He has been actually trained to do things like build bridges in reality. Okay, so that did work. That was strong enough. So I'm going to delete this and replace it with this. Oh, wait, what the? No. Try that again. Hold on. Let's flip this and not place it in the wrong spot. There we go. So now we're under 14,000. So, yeah, so if I were AliensRock, I would be trying to do this for under 8,500, which is just, I think, a little beyond me. But it does, okay, now I'm in the top 19%. So all these small gains that I'm making are kind of intoxicating. It makes me want to, I don't know, try something new. So the thing is, if I wanted to get much better, I mean, I could just keep lowering these, but you saw that the arch was getting really sort of bright red. If I lower it much more, if I make it, you know, if I condense it too much more, it'll probably start snapping. So I think if I wanted to improve on this design, I would probably need to just change my entire strategy. Do something that is just altogether different from this. But maybe, you know what, maybe I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not one of these great experts, so I'm just going to say this is the bridge that I can make. I got under 20%, and honestly, like, you know, I was in the top 19%. That's good for me. But let's look at the gallery and see what other people do. So if we're going for lowest budget, unbreaking bridges. Okay, so there's this cheese strategy that people use that can get you really low, where you basically chain together almost like a rope ladder out of these things. Oh, here, I'll show you one. Like, this is incredibly cheap because just a quirk in the physics. Basically what this is all of every bit of that bridge, it's not about, you know, trying to build it like a trestle out of triangles that can snap, you know, which is the real strategy used building bridges, because they're basically transforming all of the force that's being applied to the wood is being applied in the form of tension, pulling the wood apart. It's like the entire thing is made out of muscles, only really, really cheaply. And it's just, I don't know, that kind of bridge is kind of considered a little bit of a cheat. Because it's really easy to sort of game the physics, and that's not really the kind of bridge that people want to go across. Oh, but here we go. This I think is called a banana bridge. This is another thing. It's considered, it's not as cheap as the sort of rope bridge approach, but it is considered to be a little bit cheap too. Because again, you don't make bridges like that in real life. You're not really testing sort of the fantasy. However, this is a good idea. So this is a much more legitimate bridge that was using approximately the same strategy that I was using. Okay, it is a little bit banana-y. You can see the amount of flex on there. It's still a little bit weird. But they were taking a similar approach to me, which is rooting it in the bottom, doing an arch over the top. But because they bowed the bridge down, they were able to use a lot less material to do effectively the same thing as me. The other thing I was doing that was different was I was really going for a very rigid bridge, and they were doing a lot of smaller up and down arches to leave it flexible and keep it cheap. This one's a little bit closer to mine. You can see there. Yeah, it's just barely held together. Anyway, so, you know, those are not strategies that I'm good at, so I'm not going to use them. I'm going to do the thing that I can do. Oh, yeah, so I'm having trouble reading your name. Zamaniac Zek came in and pointed out that there's also a bug where when you have joints, when you join two things together, they can kind of stretch a little bit. So if you build an entire bridge out of joints, that makes the entire bridge flexible like you've built it out of springs. Now, springs are actually a very expensive material. You can build bridges out of this, you can build bridges out of springs in this game, is what I was trying to say. And so it's like getting free springs, which is another reason why it's considered a little bit of a cheat there. So welcome, by the way, Zamaniac Zek. It's good to have you here on my channel. I've just been telling people I am not one of these pro polybridge players, but I'm doing my best. So okay, looks like what we've got here is a hot air balloon that can hold up part of my bridge, and we've got a heavy ambulance that's trying to get down here. By the way, notice the ambulance has got a blue asterisk on it instead of like a red cross or something. That's because of the Geneva Convention. Like you're literally not allowed to, you know what? There's no anchor points in the left and right. That's what's challenging about this bridge. So you can rest something on top of a solid surface like this if you need to. But it looks like what they're going to want me to do is suspend a bridge purely from these central points. That's interesting. Okay, so, and I can't even trace a line here. So, okay, so what can I do then? Let's get over here and let's say do I have to start from one of the anchor points? I can't just, oh yeah, it looks like I can't just place something. Okay, well if I have to start from an anchor point, then I guess, I'll start from here. I don't know. Let's just say we're going to put a muscle-shaped support there. And from here, I don't even know what that will do. Actually, I'm just going to quickly... It'll fall straight down. Okay, good to know. And then we've got rope. Rope is interesting because rope, you can make it as long as you want. It doesn't have like the length limitations of the more solid things, but it can only handle tension. You can't put any compression or bending on it. It just completely collapses. So you can only use it when tension is what you want. So I'm going to, well, actually, let's build ourselves. Actually, okay, now I can use the trace tool now that I've got a point here. So I'm just going to make a little ramp, smooth ramp down. I will fill that with roads, and I genuinely don't know what I'm doing with the endpoints of this. I'll worry about that later. But this will let me put some ropes on here to hold it up, but I might still want to, rather than just holding up the whole thing with ropes, which make it kind of flexible and weird, I think I might want to do like an under support, like this, out of wood. Let's try that. Something like that? I don't know. And then similarly, I think this might have to like be out here, I think. And then just be rigid. It's kind of eyeballing this. That's something, right? Okay. This is probably not good enough, but let's see what it does. Okay, so the problem is this is a hinge. We've got this X shape here, which means that the bridge can actually bend at all of these points. It's allowed to bend anytime you have a vertex here. One of the reasons to buildings that are triangles is because they reinforce each other and keep each other from bending. They make the bridge rigid. And so I actually need to make sure that that bending doesn't happen here, because then the whole thing just falls apart. It pivots on this after it bends here, and it's ridiculous. So that means I probably need something like... What do I need? Maybe something like this? This doesn't feel quite right, but I think this will stop that bit from bending. So let's try it again. Okay. Yes, it didn't automatically bend. Let's raise that up. It didn't automatically bend, but it just was not very strong. So let's add some strength over here on this side. We'll support it that way. Nope, still not good enough. I wonder, what if I do even more rope to help support it that direction? Nope. Okay, so this support here is just not strong enough. Like, if we had it rooted over here on this side, then this would be fine to support just the weight of the middle here. But because this is supporting the weight of the middle and it's supporting everything out here, and there's just a lot of torque, it's like getting a really long wrench and pulling on it. This ambulance is getting a really long wrench, and it's yanking on this side, and it's just putting way too much force on this. So what I think I probably need to do here, well, okay, here's something I could do. I could use steel. Now, steel is expensive. All right, steel's expensive, but you know what? For right now, let's do it anyway. Actually, I wonder. Part of me kind of wants to think of this as being like almost like a little arch. Like an arch going from here up and over? Like that? I don't know if that's a thing. But then, yeah, we still need all of this rigidity here, so I don't know. I'm not a professional. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a professional something, but not a professional bridge designer. I don't know if that's actually different from what I had before, but whatever. It's fine. Well, nope. Okay, but I wonder, can I just make this rope? Because the main thing this has to worry about is tension being put on it from this side. So ropes are better at tension than wood is. Aha! Yeah, so now this one, well, several things broke, but this is one of the things that broke. You know what? Let's just make this work. I'm not going to worry about budgets. And I'll worry about cutting it out. Oh, man. Oh, man. Okay, the rope idea not working. So Coalition is asking, can I place supports below? So I've got this support that was built in, and they do give you the ability to add foundations sometimes, but that's not a tool I have at my disposal now. So one thing I have not tried is trying to rest this on top, but I'm assuming the ambulance can't get over it. So yeah, Zmaniac Zek is suggesting a land brace. I think what he might mean is, I think they've deliberately built this platform out so that I can't just brace against the wall here. I would have to brace all the way back here in order to do that. So I'm just gonna, after watching AliensRock many times deriding the use of steel, I feel sheepish about using steel. Yeah, okay. This is not going well. Okay, so fine. Again, this thing's like a massive torque wrench. Try that. Yes! Oh, and then it collides with the balloon. I need to drop it so much faster. Okay, you know what? This whole thing is garbage. Let's try again. So it hit the balloon. I wasn't even thinking about the fact that the balloon is solid, which means that the road has to dip much earlier. So let's, I'm just going to start with steel. Okay, so it's going to have to start dipping either right here or even earlier than here. In fact, let me just... can I select multiple of these at once? I don't think I can. So I got to move it one node at a time. Whew, okay. Let's see here. So we need to have a road that gets lower pretty fast. Well, actually, what we probably want is basically just like almost a straight line going down. Now, one thing I'm really curious about is whether it can drive over a bump. It probably can't. Okay, so we want something like this, only smoother. Like, close enough. I don't know. So you can see steel can reach much further than wood can. So yeah, So get some nice... I'm just going to go nuts with the steel and then see what happens. Let's support this here. And... we'll just do this. Okay, I guess I need to do a version of the entire bridge first. I don't think, because this one can be all supported from above, I don't think this side of it needs to be steel. So I'm just going to do something like this. Something like that. Connect it here, connect it here, connect it here, connect it here, and then we'll do some like... oh, can't quite reach. Okay. Can Can I move this at all? You see this little football shape that shows you sort of where you can move, given all the things it's connected to, where you can move that particular node. It's really kind of helpful to sort of see, rather than just pulling against the constraints, to be able to see and strategize around your constraints. Okay, something like that, and then also supported from here. It just bumped into it and just wrecked it. Okay. Okay, it's a little too high. Whoops. Nope. All right. I guess we got to get a little closer. Okay, this whole thing is a disaster. Oh wait, why do I not have anything here? That's weird. Let's move this down so it's moving on to a little bit more smoothly. And then let's replace this with something ridiculous. Everything's just crashing around me. I don't know what to do. So yeah, again, clearly, you know, this is not the show you come to if you want to see somebody be amazing at this game. I would be really curious to just sort of like, because I'm pushing the budget right now. I'd be very curious to see what the folks who are actually good at this did. So much stronger under support there. Oh, look, I got across for the first time and I'm barely under budget. Look, I'm just the worst. I'm one of the worst people. Okay, so yeah, so people are getting this done for a lot less. Okay, so looking at some of these little windows here, people are, oh, that makes sense. So they're kicking off the ramp much earlier. And so instead of trying to drive onto something flat that's mostly supported from below, they're driving on something that's already ramped that's mostly supported from the balloon. And people are making jumps out of it too. Okay, well that makes it, so getting that little hint makes you think, okay, maybe this is something that I can do. I just have this instinct that starting off on a ramp is going to be painful somehow. And that's not coming from anywhere, really. It's just an assumption that's often wrong. So let's just start with a little steel muscle here, and then let's build out here. So yeah, so this does make sense in that, like, if the bridge is shaped, oh wait, hold on. If the bridge is more banana shaped, then that means that you can do tension basically from more basically, yeah, it's like if the bridge is like humped right here, this can't support it very much at all. Like the tension from this can't support it very much at all. But if it's slooped down like this, it totally can. So that makes perfect sense. And also sloping it down like this, here, let me do a little better job of this. Let's slope it down even more if I can. That's a little much. Pull that down a little bit, and then sloping it down also makes it more friendly to the support from below, because I don't need as tall a support here. Like, I can make a much squatter support basically and have it still work. So I'm still gonna use steel because I'm garbage. But let's do a lot more tension. Let's just go nuts with the rope. Now, I'm assuming that rope will not be enough to support all of this, right? Let's just... Hey, that went better than a lot of my previous versions of this. So, not complaining about that outcome. So let's go with a little bit more rigidity. Okay, that was actually, like, too good. And I've used a lot. Again, I used most of the budget, but at least I did it, right? So let's start, like, kind of spreading this out a little bit. Let's see. I think a lot of this... Can I just... Yeah, so a lot of this could probably actually not be steel. Like, not all of this needs to be steel, right? I got a couple of long pieces, and then... Okay, let's see how that works with less steel. Oh, everything is just solidly in the green. My overall max stress was 54%, so I got nowhere near collapsing. So now I'm wondering, rope is kind of expensive. What happens if I do half the ropes? Well, okay, that happens. But until it gets to that point, everything's fine. So let's actually rigid this bit up here. Gonna move this a little bit left. And can I move it down at all? Can I move this one up? I just want to look nice. There, let's try that. Okay, it broke at the end though. That's nope, you can't do that. You can't let it break at the end. That's even though technically it got across, technically it's a victory. It is a Pyrrhic victory if it breaks at the end. So Coalition says, this game must be amazing. Jeffrey hasn't looked at the chat in the last 10 minutes. You are correct. Let's see here. Let me catch up just a little bit. Okay, yeah. So folks were, so Coalition was commenting on the fact that I had little gaps and stuff in the bridge, especially a gap towards the edge, which was causing some of my problems. Okay, so Peroxy says, if you can make jumps, can you determine how fast the ambulance is going? Yeah, so basically, it'll gain speed as you put on a downslope, and it will lose speed as you... Let's look at what detention is doing, by the way. The force. Okay, interesting. So you know what? I think this didn't get a lot of force. Let's see what happens. But yeah, so it's going faster because it goes on that downslope first. And so sometimes that can be a problem. Sometimes dealing with the speed of a vehicle coming down a hill can be a big problem for you. So let's try to get rid of this. Now, I can't reach with wood here. So actually, what happens if I just don't put it in? Probably collapse. Yeah, okay. So I need something there. Now, one thing that people often do is they will replace steel with wood muscles. But this is just really busy. I mean, technically, I think this will work. I'll show you it working, because I think there's no particular reason why this had to be steel. But this is also this is a lot of wood. And so that works as a replacement for steel. But what I should probably actually do is just, like, rethink this entire area down here. So we have seen people in other examples make this entire section out of wood. So let's stretch that a little bit. Let's see how far I can stretch this to the left. Not very. But it looks like we can sort of join these together in sort of this rough shape. And then, can I get this a little closer here? Yeah. Okay, so then the question is that going to be enough? I think I might need this too, but let's see. And right now, like, the direction that the force has to go, it's really kind of squampus here, and so I'm betting it's going to be a problem. Okay, yeah, this part, it just was not strong enough, right, to be able to handle that. So what if this was a muscle? And then, would I actually need that, or would I want... Ooh, that's kind of pretty, and also ugly at the same time. Technically worked, though, and that's what matters. Let's try to shore this up a little bit, make it a little tighter, and then sort of, yeah, kind of balance things out a little bit. Just I want to make it look prettier. And then let's see if we can get away with this arch being a little tighter. Just shave it down just a little bit. That's probably too much. Let's see how it goes. Ooh, some red, but nope, we're kind of fine. Okay, so where are we? We're in the top 30% now. So okay, so let's look at it again with the force on. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, there's little amounts of force being applied to almost the entire width of this. A lot on each of these ropes. The outer ropes are actually getting very little. Hold on. Now, I'm assuming this is a disaster, right? Oh, yeah, just the entire ramp just falls off. Okay, so no, that was good. We want to have these. So here's another weird technique, though. You can actually make a rope out of wood by just drawing a line and filling it with wood. This is cheaper than a regular rope and not as strong, but it looks like we don't need as much strength in that particular rope, right? Let's see. Nope. Oh, gosh. That was horrible. Okay. Unfortunately, it has a lot of flexibility to it. So the what if... I don't know. Does that change anything? Nope. Not at all. Okay, the problem is that this wood has a lot of weight. Rope is very light, and so this wood, because it's off to the side like that, its weight is really mattering a lot. But I'm wondering, like, if I did something more like this and made it more rigid, could I depend less on the rope then? Like, what if it's like that? Oh, that almost made it. I got under 20K, and it was almost good enough. And I got to 18%. Okay. So... can I make this work somehow? Okay, so that's the spot that broke. We need more something here. Let's see what this does. Okay, it stays, and do you make... oh, that breaks at the end. Okay, so I thought maybe I could get rid of that rope, but maybe I can by just fattening this up again. Now let's try that. Oh, really? Ah, come on. Come on, I just want to... I love that this is under 19,000. Oh, what is wrong with you, you dumb bridge? Okay. I don't know, I'm blaming the bridge. I designed the bridge, but whatever. Let's see how that does. We did it. Top 12%. Okay, so I took a little bit of inspiration from some of these little windows here, just sort of seeing what was possible. The basic idea of dipping the bridge early so that I could depend on tension a lot more. That was the right move, but I ended up not depending as much on tension as I expected to. So I'm wondering, is there... like, I need to go really soon, but I just want to see. I want to play this a couple of times and see if there's places where I can shave it down a little bit more. So a lot of force goes through here. But there's a lot less in some of the places around here. So I wonder, like, can I... come here. Can I... oh, this one's just... oh, this one is just suspended in every direction. It can't move. So I wonder, what happens if I lower the road a little bit? I can't. Not without... okay, hold on. I'm probably just messing myself up now by trying to move things over here. But I was actually just sort of wondering... actually, let me give myself a little bit more slack. I mean, this is making it more of a regular triangular shape, which might actually be better in some ways. But then, can I use this to sort of bow it down a little bit more? Depend a little bit more on the tension. So yeah, the wood is stretched to its limit here. I can slide that one over that way, slide that one over that way, slide that one over that way. Okay, let's see if this works. No! Oh, so close. So I don't have a lot of wiggle room here. Let's try that. Dang. All right. So this might have just been a bad idea. Here, let's make a little bit more of an arch out of it. See what that does. So Tank says, is pointing out that the reason I'm sort of trapped into this particular scale of all of my triangles and stuff is because of the fact, what happens if I raise this? Is because the road segments can only be a certain length and the wood segments can only be a certain length. Oh, it just gets so close each time. That time it made it at least. And those sort of compound each other to sort of enforce a certain minimum size of everything. Yeah, so no matter what I do, that bit is breaking. Now, what if I made it... I can't make it shorter. I can't do anything to it. Unless I want to, like make it a muscle or something like that. It's just, basically, when the ambulance gets up here, it's applying force directly down this, which is then snapping this one in half. And this one can't deal with it. So, I mean, I can muscle it up. I think I'm now making this build more expensive than my good one. Though actually, okay, wait a minute. What if, instead of a whole muscle, what if I just turned this into a fat muscle? What would that do? I don't know. I have no idea what that would do. Still snap it is what it would do. But I have to make it a little bit more arch-like. This is a non-physics expert. Yes! Trying to make up physics as he goes. Still top 12%. So I started this trying to improve on my score. I ended up exactly where I was before, just with a slightly different bridge. But that's a lot of what you do in this game. And at some point, you get to the point where you're like, well, I would just have to come up with an entirely different pattern, an entirely different strategy to really make much of an improvement. Peroxicus is suggesting that I should try the strategy that some other people have done, like in this example up here in the gallery, where they make it a jump. That is honestly, like, and that's the thing, like, right now, I think I might have actually gotten this almost as cheap as you can with a bridge going all the way across. And if I made it a jump, I could shave a lot of material off. Like, this guy up here has clearly got a much cheaper bridge than me because he's just throwing it off a cliff and letting it roll over onto the... Which is not how you want to transport a patient in an ambulance, unless you're Nicolas Cage. So, yeah, whatever. It's fine. The thing that's tough is, you know, I'll sit here and I watch tons and tons of Real Civil Engineer and AliensRock playing this game, and then I try to do it. I'm like, I want to set my standards as high as theirs. I want to get into, like, the top 20 and have that be my standard of success. But, like, that's not me. I'm not good enough at this game for that. But you know what? The game is still fun. I love solving these problems, and actually my kids have really gotten into this too. Milo and Calliope, with varying levels of success, have gotten into this game too. Calliope is basically just like, I'm not going to try to worry about the budget. I'm just going to make the coolest bridge I possibly can. And she has a lot of fun just building bridges and not trying to measure herself against the rest of the world, but just trying to make the coolest bridge to cross each of the spans. And Milo actually mostly just likes playing with me, like getting to place some of the pieces himself, but having me solve a lot of the physics problems. But it's still sort of the creative exercise of just like, of building something that wasn't there before and testing it against physics. That's sort of the appeal of this game. And that's actually, like, you know, a lot of building games like this, that's sort of the appeal, is you know, the idea that you could take a creative tool of any type and just make whatever you want, right? Like, there's a lot of, you know, you can just take a pen and paper and just draw something if you want to. The thing that's really compelling about a video game is that you can build something and then test it against some kind of condition. You know, in the case of Polybridge 3, you're testing against physics and force and weight and all of these, you know, real world things that feel very compelling and authentic. But, you know, it's not just drawing a bridge on a piece of paper and saying, look at the cool bridge I drew. It's drawing a bridge and then testing your bridge against some standard to find out if it's not only creative and beautiful enough, but also it really works. And there's a lot of games that sort of go after that same attitude. I mean, even State of Decay 2 goes after that same sense that, you want to not just imagine yourself in the zombie apocalypse, because that's fun, just imagining what you would do in the zombie apocalypse. But State of Decay 2 is special because you get to try out some of your ideas. And honestly, not enough of them. One of the things that I love about Project Zomboid is actually it does a better job at intricately modeling a lot of the things you might try to do in the zombie apocalypse and giving you a simulation where you can test yourself against it and really see, get this sense of, here's my strategy. How does it work in a setting where I don't make all of the rules, where somebody else has made the rules and I have to live with them? How do my strategies stack up? And so if that's what you're looking for, I think something that is a very intense, realistic, detailed simulation like Zomboid is probably the best place to test that kind of thing. But, State of Decay 2, I think it's got its place on that spectrum where we do some of that, but then a lot of it is also sort of the physical test. It's not just about what's my strategy. It's also about, can I dodge a feral? Which is, we're trying to sort of draw a balance point between the community simulation, the logistical management sim, and the action side. And so, we're all we've all got our different, places on that spectrum. But basically, yeah. So I think, playing games like Polybridge is really inspirational to me because it's this very distilled version of that experience of taking a creative pursuit and giving you a test bed for it where you can find out if your ideas are actually good or actually valid. Anyway, I do have to get out of here because I'm doing an official State of Decay 2 stream today, and it's a pretty exciting one where I'm gonna be making content live on the air. So I need to be fully prepared for that. So I'm gonna get out of here, but thank you all so much for hanging out with me and seeing Polybridge 3. I'm gonna keep playing the crap out of this game, though. I don't need to play it on the air. I think you should go see AliensRock or RealCivilEngineer if you want to see real masters at work.